Hi guys, my name is Bree and I'm going to be presenting to you guys today how to feed a snake. So this is my snake Lemon. He is a lemon blast ball python. What snakes eat are mice, and it kind of depends on the size of your snake what size of mouse you'll get, or a rat. I get like medium-sized mice for my snake, and I actually get frozen mice. I do not feed live mice. You can feed live mice. However, I prefer not to feed live personally. There's also the possibility of your snake getting bitten by a live mouse too, so that's one other reason why I don't prefer to feed live. Also, frozen mice are just easy to keep at home, and I could get like several at a time. So I will take the frozen mouse and put it into a cup of hot water first. That is your first step. That way you can let it thaw out. I'll usually let it sit in there for about 30 minutes or so, and then come back and check on it. And then I will get my snake out. I will actually put him into a feeding container, this big Tupperware container. I do that because if you feed him in the tank that he is in, his enclosure, he might associate your hand as a mouse and associate your hand with feeding time every time that you put your hand in there. So I just prefer to feed in a separate container, and that's not something you would necessarily have to do. It's just what I prefer to do. And once I make sure the mouse next is all completely thawed out, I'm going to put Lemon into his feeding container, and then I will take the mouse out of the water, put it on a little napkin, and then I will take tongs actually to hold the mouse, because when you're feeding them, you definitely do not want to be holding the mouse with your hand to feed the snake, because then you're going to be a lot more likely to be bit, because they actually can sense heat, and that is how they sense their prey. So if your hand is next to the mouse, your hand's going to emit more of that heat. They're probably going to be more likely to bite you than actually go for the mouse. And speaking of that heat, they actually have these little heat pits on the sides of their face. I don't know if you can see that. Those little holes on the sides of his face. That is what he uses to sense the heat. So I will take these little tongs, I will grab the tip of the tail of the mouse, and then I will dangle that in the container right in front of his face. And I like to dangle it like this because he kind of likes it better whenever it's like seeming like it's moving a little bit. I noticed if I put it inside of the container for him to eat, he doesn't pay as much attention to it most of the time. Ball pythons can be pretty picky eaters, so it kind of just depends on your snake. But I will hold it by the tip of the tail also, because it's a lot better for them to actually eat the mouse from head first rather than behind first, because it allows them to swallow it easier. If they're trying to go butt first, their legs might get like stretched out, and then it's not going to be as easy for them to swallow the mouse, and they're going to be more likely to regurgitate the mouse back up, and then you're going to have to try to refeed them again, and that's if they want to still eat after that. So once he actually strikes the mouse, and he'll curl around it to essentially act like he's suffocating his prey as if the mouse was alive. He'll like sit there for a couple of minutes. You just kind of wait, watch him, make sure he's actually going to start eating it. And then that's when I will put the lid over top of the container like this. And it does have holes in it, by the way, to make sure that they are able to breathe if you were to use a container. I'll let him sit in there for a little while. I'll keep an eye on him, make sure he's eating it okay, not regurgitating it back up or struggling at it for any reason. And then once he's finished up, I will go back over to his enclosure. It's best to, you can pick them up for sure and put them back in there. I do that sometimes, but a lot of times I'll actually just sit his container down inside of his enclosure, let him kind of come out of there himself, because they can be a little more temperamental, especially depending on the snake, if they had just been fed. So you want to watch handling them too much. So that means also waiting about 2 to 3 days after you feed them, so that they can also have time to digest their food. It can kind of disrupt their digestion if you are holding them immediately after they are fed, especially a lot of heavy handling. But that's all I got for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and hopefully maybe want to buy a snake in the future. They're super fun.